All right, let's get some analysis. Then we are joined via Zoom by independent political analyst Dr. Oscar van Heerden. A very good afternoon to you, Doctor. Thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Thank you, Flo.
All right, let's start here then. I mean, are we going to see, or rather play musical chairs when it comes to the mayoral chain in Joburg? I see that Dada Moreira has indeed released a statement, what seemed to be a measured statement initially, where he said that, he is stepping aside for the time being, but thereafter another message saying that, in fact, the lawyers were looking into this. It seemed as though he had some respect for the rule of law in the beginning, but it does seem that they're continuing with these court processes.
Yes, I think that the mayor put it very nicely, which is that the legal battle has been won. Obviously, it's open to anyone, including Dada and his legal team, to want to challenge that. But I think that that would be a nonsensical approach, because at the end of the day, it all boils down to the political solution. Indeed, court has been found that illegal and unconstitutional and invalid processes had taken place. If indeed those minority parties, together with the ANC, does the necessary corrective measures to make sure that proper procedures is followed, then there shouldn't really be a different outcome as to the outcome on the 29th of September. So I don't know why the current Dada Moreira would want to take this matter to court, when in fact what's going to happen now, Flo, is both the DA and the ANC is going to have to re-engage with the smaller parties to see whether they can either go back to the pre-situation or continue with the current situation.
Yeah. What's likely to be then, and as you rightly put it, there needs to be some sort of a political situation. We see that there is, in terms legally, of course, Dr. Mpho Phalatse, of course, has won this round. But as you say, the process, and as she's actually said, the process must now go to politics and a political solution must then be found. How is this likely to play out?
Well, we will have to go back to why, or what was the original reasons and what informed some of the political parties that was initially in an alliance and a coalition with the DA. What was the issues then, and what led to them leaving the DA and going into a coalition with the ANC. And I think that is going to be the nub of it, that they would have to go and revisit those fundamental issues. And if they can find solutions to it, perhaps then the smaller parties will yet again support the DA. But I think it is very tenuous, to say the least.
And one of the big issues I remember it being spoken about quite a lot was, the IFP, for example, has said, listen, the DA can't have both the mayoral position as well as the speaker, and that they would have wanted the IFP perhaps to take the position of speaker. Are we likely to actually see that happening, which is what the IFP had wanted? But even if the IFP does, in fact, align itself with the DA yet again, it's still an issue of numbers, and one wonders if those numbers will be enough if the IFP does indeed come back to the DA.
Well, the real issue here, which is the thing that is so unacceptable to majority party holders, the party that holds the majority seats, and that is that when you go into a coalition and the margins are very small, then those smaller parties, even if they have only 1 or 2 seats, have a big say.
Yeah.
And what happened here is the IFP made a fundamental claim and said, you can't have both these strong positions. One must come to us, even if we are very small, because we are the one that swing it to you.
Yeah, the kingmakers.
That was not acceptable to the DA leadership.
Yeah.
Exactly. We were the kingmakers. We made you the king. And we deserve our slice of the pie. And the DA was not prepared to do it. So will they do it this time around? I'm not sure. They'll have to ask a question of how serious are they with wanting to be in control of the city?
Yeah.
And that means serious compromises will have to be made. Now, we must also remember, Flo, the ANC did not just get the support, they themselves also had to make some compromises and so forth. And so it's going to be a toss-up about who is able to give more. if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. You know, you talk about, fighting for control of the city, and certainly, those words are correct in that there's a fight for control. But while these fights for power, positions, control are ongoing, whether it's through the courts or, within themselves, it's the residents who are suffering at the end of the day, because I don't think that while we're fighting about positions, we're necessarily caring about the people on the ground, some of us who are indeed Johannesburg citizens. How should we perceive all of this, regardless of which side you are on, when it comes to this fight for control?
Well, I think the important thing to note is that we have not appropriately and fundamentally understood coalition politics. Even ourselves as the electorate, as the citizens, we are very happy when things go according to what we voted. Those that didn't vote for the ANC in the local government election obviously did not want the ANC to be in charge of the city. And so they were very happy. Unfortunately, that coalition did not work. There's now a new coalition, and that obviously makes other people unhappy. And I'm raising this because I think, Flo, it's an issue of understanding the dynamics of coalition governments. And that is that serious compromises will have to be made. You have to meet each other halfway, even if you don't like it, because, as you rightfully point out, the issue is about service delivery and basic services to our people. We can't have all this political infighting and the city is standing still whilst there's load shedding, water restrictions, and so on and so forth. It's not fair.
All right. It was a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully we'll have more of these conversations, Dr. Van Heerden. Many thanks.